Hello, hello, hello everyone. Tracy Allen, living in my truth. It is Wednesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. And we are here once again, but for the grace of God. Hey everybody. There you are. Here we go. Trying to get it set up, get comfortable. Yeah, we're in a little traffic today. Trying to make it home. And finally I got here. Hey cousin. We got to talk because I really want you to come on here. So we have to talk. What's happening, girl? Hey, Coretta, I think I see you too. What's going on, y'all? How's my sound? Can y'all hear my sound well? Let me know. Send me some hearts. Y'all hear me? All right, y'all, I'm there. Okay. I just had to get ready. Hey, y'all. What's happening? I am ready for today. I couldn't find my daggone. Oh shoot, what did I do? What did I do, y'all? I see. All I gotta do is hit something. I'm gonna give them some time to come back on. I don't know what I just did. I had everything ready, but my finger done hit something. Always something. Oh, here we go. No, that's not the one. This is it. All right, y'all. Thank you for the heart. So that means that you guys can hear me pretty good. You know, with the system that the brother came and hooked me up. I appreciate him so much for doing that. You know, God got people looking out, and I have the patience, you know, because, you know, when I first started, you know, I just jumped on here and just started doing the live, you know, and now, you know, it's been a year, and we had our LNT Awards, you know, which means whoever comes sit on this couch will be honored, you know, for their oh shoot, I couldn't even get the words out, for their phenomenal jobs that they did sitting on this couch helping people, you know, with some strength and hope of their own stories. You know, I'm not the one or the type that sit down and ask you your story. It's just whatever you want to share, and you feel as though you need to share, hey, it's up to you. I'm going to chime in no matter what. You know what I'm saying? We got some awesome people, more phenomenal people that's coming on Living in My Truth next week. It's going to be a little fun, you know what I mean? But it's going to be serious and to fun, you know, but it's a story, you know what I'm saying? And everybody has a story, you know? So, I mean, it takes a lot of heart, you know, for some people to get on this live. You know, it's like being on TV, to get on this live and knowing thousands and thousands of people are watching them and listening to them, you know, and a lot of them all said, girl, I'm nervous. I said, as soon as you start talking, I'm telling you, you're going to get the vibe. and you're going to get right into this thing. And as you see, you know, everybody who has come on here has done a phenomenal job. So if you're thinking about coming on, please, please, please let me know and come on and join this family. You know, Living in My Truth Ellen and T Awards will be June 27th at Dreams Ballroom over in Chester, you know, on Avenue of the States. So I have up a new post on anybody who wants to sponsor a page in our book. We're doing a book this year. I mean, come on, y'all, please, you know, grab a page, you know, even if you want to put just, you know, some awesome words in there, you know what I mean, you know, to help with the program. So you'll find that on Facebook. I have it on Facebook. And I had to save the date on Facebook. Now, right now, you can get your tickets for $45, you know, until the end of next month. After that, the ticket goes to the regular price, which is $55. So I hope that everybody can, you know, pull that $45 out the income tax money. Y'all know how we do. Y'all know how we do. You know, and I do understand today is really rough. You know what I mean? Because they tearing this world up, y'all. They tearing us up. You know what I mean? But, you know, if you can, you know, it would be appreciated, and you also will be welcome. Hey, Coretta, my girl. You know, so Coretta, know that you are honoree. You know what I'm saying? So you can start letting your people know about the award show. You know, it's gonna be really nice, y'all. You know, what I did last year was nice. I also put up a video of last year's. Yes, Scott did that video of last year's LMNT award, so you can get a little taste of what it was like last year. It's gonna be even better this year. You know, and neither. You know, when I get my head on and I want to do something, you know it's done. You know what I mean? So I hope to see you there, you and hubby. And enjoy yourself. All right, y'all, I'm going to give them a few more minutes to come on. You know, I have a wedding to do this weekend and next weekend, so I'm really putting together a lot of flowers right now, you know, and trying to get some things together. So I'm gonna try to get on, you know, do what I do, because this is my time. You know, when I'm on sharing or I'm at work sharing, I'm in my world. You know what I mean? So I'm always have a word to say or something to say, you know, for living in my truth. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with living in your truth. It really isn't, you know, because a lot of us have a lot of things that we deal with that we don't want to talk about or speak about. And I know everybody don't want to speak about it with anybody and everybody, but when you join this family, you know, it's no worrying about who's listening and who's watching, because there's so many people that watch this show, these lives. They just don't say anything or speak on anything. Everywhere I go, I'm running into people, girl, keep doing what you're doing, you know, it's really helping people. Or I'm running into people that say, do you have a life? You know what I mean? Aren't you living in my truth? You know, and that lets me know that God's work is being fulfilled, you know, and I love it. I really do. And I'm always inviting somebody to come on and share. It's a beautiful thing to live in your truth. You know what I mean? And just be you, the authentic you. You know, regardless of what you've done in the past or how you did things in the past, it's what you do today. You know, everybody gets one day at a time. It don't matter to me who you are. Everybody gets one day at a time. This is why every morning I wake up, I thank God for another day. You know, because no one gets one before me. No one gets one before you. We all get the one day at a time. You know, and that is how we live. And this is how I've learned how to live. Hey, Veneer. Love you, girl. You know, and for me, it's so simple. It is so simple anymore. I remember a time where I had to be out on the weekend. I had to be at all the happy hours, you know, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I had to be out there. I just had to show my face. I just had to be in the places that I really had no business being in. But at the time, society had me caught up. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, I was caught up in so many different ways. You know what I mean? And I thank God that I have found my way out that hole. I thank God that I have now had peace in my life, you know, and I'm looking for more and more and more praises from him, you know, to get even stronger, better, healthier, you know, the whole 9 yards, because we just never know what tomorrow may bring, you know, even if tomorrow gets here. You follow? So living one day at a time is great. It really is. It slowed me down, but it made my life comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I could deal with one day. You know what I mean? Instead of have to do things that I used to do when I was out there caught up into society. You know what I mean? We all have made many changes in our lives. You know, I'm not saying everybody is stuck. You know what I mean? But the ones who are, face up. You know, surrender. You know, and say enough is enough. You know, and can't nobody talk about nothing this nowadays, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody done something. Everybody been something, doing something, no matter what. You follow what I'm saying? So the sticks and stones part can't break bones anymore. Names don't hurt nobody. You know what I'm saying? Change is constant. And it's nothing constant but change. And I'm glad that I made that choice to want to change. You know, and God knows this is the best thing I've done in my entire 65 years. It is the best thing that I have done in my life. Y'all hear that? 65 years. We'd be 66. Y'all know we the seniors now. We the grannies and the great grannies and all that stuff. Now, and guess what? I love every freaking bit of it. I love the fact that I am a mother. I'm a good mother. You know what I mean? I'm not the mother that used to be out there doing all the things I used to do. You know, I'm a grandmother, and now I'm a great-grandmother of 5. That is a blessing. That is such a blessing to me, and I am so honored that I had the opportunity of seeing this happen in my life. Because if I would have kept going the way that I used to be, I wouldn't have had the chance to enjoy it all. I wouldn't have had the chance to take it in with love. You know what I mean? And just look at the youngins. You know, this is part of me. You know what I mean? I helped bring all of this here, and I am so grateful. Now I know what my mother was talking about and how my mother felt about all her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. Hey, Trees, and she knew every single one. Girl, well, I didn't pick that and inherit that up from a girl. I forget names. It's just too many of them now. The grandkids, it's like 15 of them. You know what I mean? And the first half is all grown. You know, then I got a couple in the middle as teens. And then I got 10 and 9. And now I'm getting the great-grands as all babies. You know, I'm loving it, though, you know. God has blessed me with that, and I am so grateful for that. And it all has everything to do with recovery. It all has everything to do for what I had to go through, to get through, to come through. And that's what I named this topic tonight. You know, the go through, to get through, to come through. You know, to go through, you know, what we go through is in our heads, we lose the loss of control of our thinking. You know, believing, you know, that we can do drugs, alcohol, you know, daily, you know, going to the bars, the happy hours and all that stuff. You know, a lot of us sit around and get lit at home. You know what I mean? You know, I call them closet drunks and closet drug addicts. You know what I mean? Because you don't think people know what people can see. But see, you may think that because that's what drugs do. It takes your brain and it makes you believe that things that you think people don't see, you know what I mean, and can't tell and can't hear, only you the one that can't see it. You know, because people do see. Because drugs and alcohol does not make you pretty. Drugs and alcohol makes you ugly and stand out. Even if it's your loud mouth, even if it's how you dress, even if it smells and come through your pores, you know what I mean? You won't smell that. You won't see that. You won't have that vision to know that this is what that is doing. You know, you just think you hanging, you doing this, you know, and you got this. You know, but, you know, at this particular point, you don't even know what's really going on with you because it's introduced as fun. It's introduced as control, you know. So, you know, are thinking and believing, you think you know that you can do drugs and alcohol daily basis and think nothing, you know, is going to happen, you know, but at that time it is already happening. You just don't know that it's happening, you know, because we strong, you know, we got this. You know, we're not going to let ourselves get caught up and let ourselves get hurt. That is definitely what we tell ourselves. You know what I mean? We can go out on the weekend and say, I'm not going to get drunk this weekend. I'm only going to do this. And you be drunk as a skunk. You know what I mean? Because once you feed it, you're going to feed it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to feed it. And I'm quite sure a little bit of everybody has experienced that. You know, nah, I ain't getting lit, and before you know it, out there partying, you forget about you, and you deal with the environment of what you're around. You know what I mean? And then drinking becomes one drink after another, one beer after another one hit after another. You know what I'm saying? You just lose all that power saying this is what I'm not going to do, but you don't know that you're becoming sick with a disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. You know what I'm saying? And you really believe that you have the control, because that's what it does. It makes you believe that you have the control of what you're actually doing. You know, I'm going to testify because that's what it did to me. You can tell me I was out of control. Indeed not. You know, and then, you know, thinking it's all fun, it makes you feel good. And when you start feeling good, you're not thinking. You know what I mean? You want to continue to feel good, and the fun arouse you, the music arouse you, then people all over the place arouse you. You know what I mean? And then you forget that how much you're drinking. People buying you drinks, you buying you drinks. Happy hour is vicious. You know what I'm saying? Because we think happy hour is the bomb because drinks be a loss to us a low cost money. You know, when that money can be doing something else. You understand what I'm saying? The way we go out and spend it on all kinds of, some of us, you know, don't even take care of our families, don't even take care of our kids. You know, we out there just killing it, kicking it with the image. You know what I mean? You know, acting like we this and acting like we that. And money means no object. That's what disease does. It erases it right on out of your head. You know what I mean? Because you ain't going to be the only one sitting in there and not doing it, or not drinking, or not doing rounds and all that kind of shit. I was good for that. You know what I'm saying? You know, because that's what we do. You know, that's what we do when we go in the bars or when we in the world. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. That was the name of the game. Everybody was cool. You know, I don't think too many can say that they wasn't that was hanging out. I know hanging out when I was hanging out, you know, because we all did the same thing. You follow? So I'm quite sure some of us are very familiar with what I'm saying, you know. And then, you know, we really convince ourselves that, you know, it's fine. We got this under control. And you know, when you get drunk, y'all, when we get high and we get lit, we'll plan our money. I know I did. I used to plan my money. You know what? I got paid today. I'm going to keep this. This is what I'm not going to touch this. I'm just going to use this $40 and that's it. Man, you be getting so lit and so on, you don't even recognize that the $40 been gone. You know what I mean? You've been dipping and dabbing, you know, the whole time. And before you know it, by the time you get home, you can go into a bar sometimes and have $700 in your pocket, and you get lit and you get drunk and you buying everybody drinks and everybody partying, getting together, getting bottles, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And wake up the next morning, you probably got $60 in your pocket. You know? $100 in your pocket. How many did that? You know what I'm saying? Just out there, just going, because you have no control. You have no control once you become intoxicated. You know what I mean? Even in the high, where a high is a little different. You know, when you hit, you know what I mean? My drug of choice was smoking cocaine. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, once you take a hit, it's over. You know, ain't no planning nothing. It's going to be what it's going to be. You're going to do what you're going to do, and it ain't going to be able to stop. Like you think you can just stop or stop drinking, you're going to do as it say and say as it do, you know, because you getting ready to go through something. This is why I named this Go Through, Get Through, Come Through. You getting ready to go through something. And I'm telling you, when we go through those somethings, we go back and do it again and again and again and again and beat ourselves up all the time. You know what I mean? Knowing what it did the last time, know what you did last time, and spending up the money, kids can't get their sneaks, rent ain't paid, electric bill cut off. You know, I done been through all of that. You know what I'm saying? Remember you used to get the electric cut back on? Hey, look, I had my electric cut on so many times, they came and took the daggone box. Took the whole box off the side of my house. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, I had so many anonymous names. Nasha Spitz, and my kids on here, they'll fall out laughing. Nasha Spitz, Debbie Braun. I used to make up all kinds of names. Remember we used to do it? They used to be, you can do it before all these computers and stuff got all big and all famous, and we can give them any kind of social security number. They didn't even make sense. You know, and they just take the information and just keep on turning it on, turning it on. Look, I was good for that. I was the best liar in the whole wide world, especially to them kind of people, a company. Hell, that's when the most time I started lying the most. You know what I mean? And I always used to get over. And at that particular time, y'all, I didn't even have faith in God at that particular time. And the whole time, I know today that he was watching over me. He was watching over my children. You understand? He woke me up every day, even when I was going out to do the wrong things. He still woke me up. You know, I didn't take days serious. I didn't take life serious like that because I lost the feeling of life. You know, because I was the puppet, you know, for the society world and the get high, you know, and the drinking, you know, and all that kind of stuff. You follow what I'm saying? So feeling the peace that I feel today is such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing, y'all. It's beautiful, you know, but not realizing there is will be a consequences from all of this. This is what I'm just talking about. It's definitely going to be a consequences, and they coming. I'm telling you, you know, you will be facing a lot of consequences because I know I did. No water, no heat, no electric. You understand what I'm saying? No gas. You know, I always kept a nice house. I always kept a sharp place. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't put time in it like I used to. You mean like I was supposed to. You know, my kids had the beautiful bedroom sets, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But I lacked up on what I used to wear. I lacked up on going shopping for them like I used to the point where I didn't even do it no more. You know what I'm saying? I just stopped doing everything that I should have been doing, you know, thinking that nothing was done about it, you know, and it wouldn't, you know, didn't even know it would affect them even at the age 5. You know, in 6 and 7, I didn't think it was affecting them. You know what I'm saying? It's when they got up into the 12 and the 11 and everybody was wearing Timbs and all kinds of stuff. And I had 5 kids at the door. I couldn't afford everybody to get Timbs and all that stuff. You know, my kids tell me today, like, Mom, I only had 1 pair. I can't remember that. I could have swore I gave them more than that. You know what I mean? And kept up with the Joneses and all that kind of stuff. You know, I used to tell them, y'all shoot, y'all tear up everything. You know, and I know how to take care of my clothes. You know what I mean? Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. But I did not remember some of the things that they told me that I did. I just didn't remember it because I knew, I mean, stuff, you know, back in the day, we used to get tailor-made pants and stuff made for our kids. You know what I mean? And those things never left my mind. You know, like having them nice. I mean, they weren't no junk kids. You know what I mean? But sometimes they was. I ain't going to say that they wasn't because sometimes I didn't even wash clothes. I got so bad. I didn't want to. Disease wouldn't allow me to. My sickness wouldn't allow me to. It allowed me to think that everything was cool and F everybody else who had something to say. You follow what I'm saying? Because everybody always has something to say, even the ones that were sitting there with me getting lit and coming to my house to get lit and to go places with them to get high. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff is crazy. All this stuff is real crazy, but this is what happens. You know, when you get caught up in society's world, with drinking and drugging. You know what I'm saying? And even selling, you know, cocaine. I used to let people come in my house and they in the bathroom shooting up. I really didn't know at the beginning that that's what they were doing. But then when I found out, it didn't make me a difference. They was paying me. You know what I mean? The mentality was gone. You know what I mean? And not to me, it was making money. You know what I'm saying? Not to me, it was just what everybody was doing. People was doing, you know, closer to me. You know, the whole 9 yards. Today, you can't smoke in my house. You can't bring no drunk. You can't do none of that. You know what I mean? Because I don't miss none of it, because it is my evil. It is my demon. And I don't need it around me. You understand what I'm saying? Because, see, you know, disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And because I've been clean all these years, don't mean that it can't hit me again. I'm aware of it, and I stay aware of it. I keep it in front of me versus behind me. You know what I mean? Because I know how powerful it is. Even today, I can sit here and say that I'm clean, but I can't speak for tomorrow. And I know I don't want any drugs, but I just got to let disease know that you are alive. And I know that you'll never die. Only time you going to die, disease going to die is when I die. You know, so I got to keep it in remission. You know what I'm saying? And that's not programmed, that's real. You follow what I'm saying? That's real. This sickness is like a cancer. It'll come back. And when it comes back, it gets worse. You die from it. You follow? You know, and a lot of people don't see that or understand that because they don't believe that it can happen. You know what I mean? It was being under a trance. Well, I ain't under trance no more. My eyes is wide open. You follow? My heart is wide open. You follow what I'm saying? I got God in my life. You know what I mean? And I believe in God more than anything in the world today. Back then, I didn't. And all the time, I'm so grateful today because he took care of me. With me being all nasty and me being all mean because of myself and just I didn't get things that I wanted. I couldn't say things to people that I wanted to, even though I was out there all tough and bad and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? They say hurt people, you know, and I was a person that was hurt, you know, wearing masks so you couldn't see, so I had to play like I was that girl. You know what I mean? Even though, I mean, don't get me wrong. Y'all know I put dukes up in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? But today I don't think like that. I don't see things like that. I don't be around people, places, and things like that because I know who I am, you know, today. Then I was searching. I just made the wrong mistake by choosing what I did choose, and that was society's way of living, you know, in the get high world, you know, and didn't know I was going to have a sickness as powerful as it is, you know, that literally took me out. You know, but for the grace of God, he kept me here for a reason because everybody that we used to get high with is gone. I know that I was getting high downtown, Man Green, everybody, you know, Bulldog, everybody is gone. And he kept me here for a reason. He kept me here to soldier, and that's what I'm doing today. I realize, I know, I talk to God every day, all day. You follow what I'm saying? And I asked him to please save me from this time. You know, I promise you that I will do what I'm supposed to do. And I have done that. You know what I mean? And I'm still doing that today. You know, I done skipped in and out of some things, you know what I mean? I didn't just go straight into, you know, to where I'm at today. You know what I mean? I had to still walk the walk, you know, to get through. So I had to go through what I went through. You understand what I'm saying? And then I had to learn how to get through, you know, but going through was a setup. You know what I'm saying? It was a setup by this vicious sickness, you know, not knowing that this control you think you have comes with a sickness called disease. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking that I'm in control and I got this in my, you know, it ain't nothing, it ain't all that, I got this. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time, that brain up here, the puzzle was being torn apart. Every piece is coming out. Every piece that I need to be sane is now going into the control of my subconscious mind, which is the voice called disease. You know, and it comes with a sickness, you know, that is cunning, baffling, and powerful. You know, it becomes real progressive in your head, you know, to a point where it's not a headache, you know what I mean? It's an insanity. You follow? It's a big insanity, and you don't even realize that it's happening to you, because you think you have things under control. This is what you go through, without even recognizing that this is what's happening to you. You know what I'm saying? Which affects your thinking, it affects your judgment, it affects your impulse, it affects your behaviors. You know what I'm saying? All this is happening. You know what I mean? It changes your whole brain chemistry, y'all. The whole brain chemistry. That's what it does. And you don't even know it's happening. You don't even know what's happening. You just still doing what you was doing. Hey, Jackie, how you doing, my sister? Dr. Tracy. Hey, Dr. Tracy Townsend. What you say? I used to tell my patients, cocaine give you wings. Ha! Yes, indeed. Then takes away your ground. Yes, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is such a bold statement, a real statement, and make all the sense in the world, because that's exactly what it did. It did to me. Did the same thing to me. And like the chemistry in the brain is just all over the place, and you don't know where nothing is no more. Things is just not seeming right. It's just not being right. You're not thinking right. But then you tell yourself, if somebody else tell you what they think is going on with you, you ready to fight. You ready to argue. You ready to go through whatever we got to go through. But you're in denial. It just take you straight to denial. You know what I mean? Now, everybody else don't make sense. You know what I mean? But I make all of the sense. You know what I mean? Because I can't see. You know what I mean? And I now don't listen. So I can't hear you. So now I can't see you. You know what I'm saying? I can't see what you're saying about me, because disease now says, do what I say and say as I do. You follow? And the whole time, I don't even know that's what it's telling me. I'm just doing it with no feelings. I didn't even know it stripped me of my feelings. I didn't know it stripped me of my soul. I just had no feelings to it, because it don't allow you to feel. It don't allow you to feel this thing. It just rip you right from you in your own head, face, body, heart, mind, everything, and you don't even know it's ripping. You still think you're in control. You still think that you're in control. And this is what we go through. You still think that you're in control. It don't care who in your life. It don't care who's in your life. It totally do what I call hijack the brain. That's what it does. It hijacks your brain, the ability to function clearly. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Y'all hear me? Anybody on here to get high? I know you got to be saying, absolutely. That's for real. That's correct. You know what I mean? It hijacks your brain. You can't think clearly. You can't function clearly. You can't do nothing but what this thing is now having you do. The lie starts first. You tell one lie, you're going to tell another lie. You tell another lie, you're going to tell another lie. You're going to tell another lie. You're going to come to believe the lie. You're going to defend the lie. You just become a walking liar. So now your whole life has turned into a lying mess, like a big ball. Here go one part of you that you don't even realize who you are. You follow what I'm saying? You just became this liar thinking your lie is the truth. This is what it does. This is why when you go through these things with your loved ones and your people and your family members or whoever it is and yourself, you know that you can be saying the truth, but I'm going to tell you, you a lie. Because I don't believe you, I believe me, and I don't lie. I don't even know that I'm a liar like that. That's my defense shield. This is the monster that's being created right in your face. You know what I mean? You might see it. You hear the lies, but guess what? I don't. I'm dead serious. You follow what I'm saying? The brain chemistry is all messed up. You know what I mean? Disease that is cunning, babbling, and powerful got me like a puppet. And I didn't even realize I was the puppet yet. I still thought I had a little bit of control. I could wake up in a week and say I ain't going to get high, and I don't get high. But then disease get hungry and say, well, you're going to get high this week. You're going to get high this day. You can just be sitting there watching a damn movie or being at the park at with your kids, at the school at a play, and something just to say, oh man, I'm going to get high. I'm going to go get high. And you might just get up and go then. I stopped going to the plays. I didn't even go to the school stuff with my kids, you know, at a time. You know what I mean? And always had a lie to tell. Always. And it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all because, you know, disease had already stripped me of my feelings. You know what I'm saying? And this is the truth, y'all. This is the God truth. You know, this is why I'm on here trying to help people who suffers from people who are suffering. You know what I mean? But to understand us and what we go through, you know, and then we got to get through. You understand what I'm saying? This is why this is titled Go Through to Get Through to Come Through. You follow? It is a process. It is a hard process. But before you can get through, you got to go through it. You know what I mean? And you don't even know what you're going through. All you know is you done changed. All you know is everybody saying this and everybody saying that. Hey, Shashia, you know, this is something that, hey, Brian, this is something that you don't recognize that's really actually happened. You know what I'm saying? You just like, here go the puppet. You know, it got your arm with this on this thing right here. You know what I mean? And you got the other arm up like this. You ain't even walking yet. You know what I mean? Because this thing is cunning, babbling, and powerful. And it takes its time. That's the worst part about this thing. And we think that we don't care. We think that, you think that we don't care. You think that we could just stop. You think that this don't make no sense. You know what I mean? But the beast got us. You know what I mean? And we are making sense to ourselves because we can't hear you. We are making sense to ourselves because we don't listen. We are making sense to ourselves because what we see, you don't see. You understand what I'm saying? And what we feel, you don't feel. We don't feel love and emotions and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? We feel like slaving, like a pain. It's like pain. You know what I mean? It's everything that make you feel terrible and make you feel bad. You know what I mean? Even when you want to get the control back and do what you got to do, you know what I mean? You don't realize and understand what you are going through. You don't know what you're going through yet. You just in it. You know, you in the tunnel now. You can't get out. You know, you in that storm I talk about. You can see to get out, but you can't get through the storm. And once you got to get through the storm, that's what we're going to talk about next, getting through. You know, about things that we have to do and we have to fight for and we have to recognize, you know, to get ourselves back. That's hard as heck. When I tell y'all it's hard, it is hard. You know what I mean? Because disease don't play. It ain't like it's like your cool brother or sister. You know what I mean? It's the devil. And it just want to kill you. You know what I mean? Just what it say. Do as I say and say as I do. I got you now. Ain't no God. You know what I mean? Oh, it beat me up with God. You know what I mean? I'm trying to pray. I don't even know how to pray. And I'm trying to ask God to help me. And I ain't hearing nothing from him. All I'm seeing is myself digress, you know, and suffer and feel the pain and can't do the things that I used to do. I'm changing. I can't see that I'm changing. People telling me that I look like I'm dying, I'm losing weight. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with you? Ain't nothing wrong with me. Because see, I'm the liar too. Don't forget that. I'm the liar. Ain't nothing wrong with me. You girl, you messing with that stuff. I don't get high like that. I don't do too much. You know what I mean? Y'all hating. You follow what I'm saying? I ain't even home with the kids. You know what I mean? I don't have a car no more. I don't have all the sharp clothes that I used to have. Y'all know I told y'all about my little Michael Jackson jacket, my Gloria Vanderbilt jeans, and my salt and pepper boots. You know what I mean? But you can tell me I still wasn't sharp because in my head and what I saw is what disease allowed me to see. You know what I mean? It has the control of me, so I don't see that I look crazy as heck in the summer. You understand what I'm saying? You know, and I ain't talking spring. I'm talking summer. I wore that stuff to death, you know? And when I could get some clothes on, because look, all them was going too. I'm ducking the landlord, and God was just blessing me with getting apartments and blessing me to get things, and I would be good to be able to get it. As soon as I got it, here comes disease. Oh, so you wouldn't spend your money on this. You went and did this. Did I say you can do this? It's like Simon Says. Did I say you can do that? Okay. I got you. Watch this. Next thing you know, I'm ducking the landlord. You know what I mean? Beautiful people was helping me. I'm ducking the landlord. You follow? I got people watching my kids, kids watching my kids. You know what I mean? I'm ripping and running, going out like I'm sharp and I'm the queen and looking like a nothing, you know what I'm saying, and dicking and dibbing and ducking, you know, so people wouldn't see me. And when they did, the crazy part is I would try to act like I wasn't high. I would try to act like ain't nothing going on with me, because that's what this thing makes you do. And it makes you believe that nobody is really seeing you and that they believe you. But the minute that you walk away from a friend, a family member, doesn't matter who it is, they talking so much big stuff about you. And when you be talked about, you know, as a sick person, y'all talk about us, man, we get mad. We get real mad. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we ready to cuss you out something real good. You follow what I'm saying? Don't be talking no smack. You follow? Because ain't nothing inside our head but destroy, hate you. You know what I mean? Want to fight you, bust your windows out, do some crazy stuff. I mean, I didn't do a lot of these things, but this is what it does to us as addicts. You know what I mean? Some people was out there worse than me, and I was out there worse than others. You know what I mean? And if it would have stayed out there just like others are dead, it probably would have been me too. You know what I mean? But God has a reason for what things happen, and he has a walk for everybody, no matter what it is. You follow what I'm saying? And he chose me to walk that walk so that I can come out and talk this talk. You know what I mean? And I'm going to talk out real loud, even if you don't want to hear me. You ain't got to watch Living in My Truth, because I'm going to be talking this stuff. I'm going to put out as much as I possibly can to help the families and help the sick and suffering, to know that there is a way, to know that you can get better, to know that you can live in a recovery lifestyle. And when you find the love and how to get there and do it, let me tell you, you're sitting on top of a throne. Believe me when I tell you that. You're sitting on top of a throne. You know, so whatever I used to do or however I used to look, this is what I look like today. You follow what I'm saying? And I love every bit of all of it. You understand what I'm saying? The things I do today, I am grateful and I am proud that I have gotten to this point. Because see, the point up here in the brain right now, look, it took me a minute to put this puzzle back together, and I'm still putting pieces. I'm still finding pieces. When I tell you it busts up the whole brain, it busts up the whole brain. You know what I mean? But I'm still working on it today. You know what I mean? Because I live with this disease. Her name is Trey Trey. That's what I call her. Trey Trey. When I move my head, Trey Trey move her head. When I raise my hand, Trey Trey raising her hand. You know, because she is me. I was totally chemically unbalanced, but today I'm balanced. Today I'm riding straight and narrow. You know, for as long as I have my higher power in my life and it comes first, and I follow the process of the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, I'm gonna be all right. And I trust in it. And I trust in it. I didn't trust nobody. I didn't trust nothing about in the streets. Man, you had to be on your P's and Q's, and y'all know I'll fight. Ain't no ifs and buts about that. I'm going to do what I got to do. You know what I mean? I've done a whole lot of things some of you don't know. You know what I've done. You know, things that I've seen. You know, watching people die, robbing people while they down. You know what I mean? Can't say nothing because I'm in society so deep that I don't want to be called a snitch. You know what I'm saying? You know, we get these things all in our head like this is a must, you know, but it was the choice that I made, you know, the mistakes that I made, and today I understand these mistakes. You understand? So today, by me knowing and living the lifestyle that I live today, you know, I'm aware that these things can happen, but these things can. You follow what I'm saying? I can say one word, 2 letters, 1 syllable, and say no to the drug life. Say no to that party life. I mean, I ain't no square. You know, I go to personal things. I still do things. Hell, I'm a planner. You know what I'm saying? I'm all around it. You follow what I'm saying? But I have the wisdom to know the difference, that's for sure. I am not hung by that puppet no more. You know what I mean? The puppet master. Right now, the puppet master is in the bars right here inside here where I got it in remission. Now things reversed. You follow what I'm saying? Now, you know, It totally, like when I was telling y'all, this thing hijacked my brain, you know, and it just changed my whole life. I don't want to go back to that. Today, I'm starting to be all right. I mean, I am all right, and still starting to feel better over certain things. Like, I'm still learning things that when sometimes my kids talk to me, you know what I mean, I'm thinking they're making this stuff up. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know, I mean, I know they still hurt, you know what I'm saying, probably through some things, but come on. You know, come on. You know, ask God to forgive you because you won't surrender either. You know what I'm saying? See, because disease works through people, places, and things. You know what I mean? And it comes through my kids, you know, some of my kids at times. It comes through some family members at times. It comes from work more than sometimes. It comes from out there. You know what I mean? It comes from just bumping into people that I don't even know, but I have the wisdom to know the difference, to see it today. You know what I mean? I can see it today. Then I couldn't. You know what I mean? So it gives me a choice. It gives me the choice to either want to deal with it, believe it, not believe it, or just pray for them and say, live and let God. You follow what I'm saying? See, the process of the 12 steps, the process of the program taught me how to stand up with my armor on. You know what I mean? And if I did it, I'm able to surrender to it. You know, if I know that I did something like the situation with my son, you know, thinking that him and his brother had the same dad, man, that thing broke me down. I said, disease is vicious, boy. Goodness gracious, what else can happen to me? Now, you don't poison me with a real disease, you know, because it's mad that I'm telling you all these things, and I'm trying to help you learn how to help yourself going against it. You know what I'm saying? My son, 40-something years old, we find out that his dad ain't even his dad. And then the dad that is his dad, I like to drop and hit the floor. You understand? This thing, I done been through some things, even being clean. So going through is always going to be there. I realize that now. You know, but making the right decision for things, you know what I mean, and having the wisdom to know the difference is where I have to be always on top of. You know what I mean? Because I know this too shall pass, because I know what God does. You follow what I'm saying? I know what he do. You know, and I know he knows that I don't have to lie anymore, not on a situation like that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I think I was in more shock than my son, to be honest with you, because I would have never expected that. I would have never expected that, and I could talk about it. I could talk about it because if I leave that in me, that thing is going to open up a door for sickness. You know what I mean? And it don't mean that I have to get high. It's just going to tear my thinking up. You know what I mean? It's going to tear my peace up. It's going to rotten me inside. You know what I mean? I was trying to think. And the father that came up to be his father, I never even thought about him. You know, because I was young. I didn't think about him. You know? So that thing was like the sickness is just trying to punch me. It's trying to punch me. It's trying to grab me back in any way, shape, or form and necessary. This is why this lifestyle that we live and we learn to trust in these 12 principles that we have, you know what I'm saying, is so important, because it teaches us how to deal with all of this. It puts us in the right place in our lives, from starting from here down to the toes. You hear what I'm saying? Because we got to be on time and on cue with every piece of bone and every air we breathe for the rest of our lives, no matter how well we're doing. You know what I mean? It's always something, because life be lifing. You know, and you got to prepare yourself for certain things. I never thought in a million years something like that would come to me. Out of nowhere. Thing stripped my heart, tore my heart up. You know, tore my heart up while I was praying. I was praying. You hear what I'm saying? I was praying. And I had to pray for me first. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to be out of control. I'm not going to be able to think right or process things right. And this is why it's such a selfish program. You know what I'm saying? It's a selfish program. You know, people don't understand that. Oh, she this, or she that, or she this. You know what I mean? I had to remove myself and spend time with who I know is going to be there for me. It's going to keep me at peace. But I had to share it. You know what I mean? And I shared it with you all. I shared it with my sponsors. You follow what I'm saying? I shared it with my friends, my real friends that I know are my friends, my sister. You know what I mean? You know, my family member. You follow what I'm saying? And it helped me. It did help me, and they helped me because my sister, she was always there, always around me. You know what I mean? And she never knew that. You know, all she knew was my son's father, because that's all I knew. And one night, lit, and I used to just smoke weed back then. I drank some Mad Dog 2020. And that happened. I forgot about that. I didn't even think about all that. Crazy. Never even thought about all that. Never even thought I would ever had to think about all that. That was going back then. You know, but look what it did today. You follow? Look what it did today. And I had to face that reality. Now, you know, that my chemistry in my brain, you know, back then was all messed up. You know, the dope had me going. Now I had to get through this thing. You know, I had already going through, you know what I mean? I already had to go through everything that I just shared with y'all that I had to go through. Now I got to get through. You know what I mean? I have to learn how to get through the process. I have to learn how to, you know, start living life on life terms again. You know, so to get through, it's like, you know what it is? When you become an addict and you become so out of control and so unfunctional, you know what I mean, that your chemistry, like I said, in your brain is so done up and dogged up, you know what I mean? It's like grieving. Grieving in your own body, grieving in your own head, grieving in your own self, you know? And I'm sharing this because I just like every time I think of things or I see things, sometimes I might hear things. I might even be watching a movie and I might be reading some literature and stuff, you know, to get my head right for an episode of Living in My Truth, or going to my, you know, job and sharing, you know what I'm saying, or on video, Zoom sharing, you know, or something like that. And I said back then, I asked myself, just talking to myself, asking myself question, Tracy, how did it feel? You know, at times that I wanted to stop and I couldn't stop. I just didn't know how to do it. And I've done it. You know, this sickness allowed me to stop for 3 months. It allowed me to stop, get a job, start doing right good again. It allowed me to stop for a week, 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It just allowed me to do it sometimes, you know. And every time I wasn't high, I was just grieving. It was like grieving, you know. It was like my world is gone. I'm messed up. You know what I'm saying? I done messed up again. It's like every time I relapse, you know, back then, this is before I even had treatment because I didn't know I was sick. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know anything about disease. But it's like grieving, y'all. It is a horrible thing. And it hurts and it's painful. And it hurt and it's so painful that I don't want to feel the pain no more. So, you know, that's disease telling me to feed it. You know what I mean? When I'm high, I didn't feel nothing. When I'm high, I was gigantor. When I'm high, I'll do anything. I'll say anything. I'll go through whatever length it takes to get what I need. You know what I'm saying? That's how I became street. You know what I mean? And selling yourself. And you start doing all kinds of things, you know? Because the grieving part of addiction is painful. It hurts. I don't know if there's anybody on here to hear what I'm saying, but I hope you do. I don't want anybody who never dealt with drugs even try it. You follow what I'm saying? Because this thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. It is cunning, baffling, and powerful. I tell you all the truth, you know. And in yourself, like you be grieving in yourself, and you hear these voices and all that. You know what I mean? And you just can't take the pressure. You can't take the pain. The feeling is just damn. That's the only way I can describe it. By, you know, I was just grieving, you know, and it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad, mentally, physically, period, and spiritually. It hurts in every way, shape, or form. It is a terrible thing, because they say, what is a terrible mind to waste? Let me tell you something. When you lose your soul, you lose your heart, you lose your feelings, you lose your emotions, man. That thing is draining. That thing is vicious. It hurts, you know, because you can't look at yourself and see. I couldn't look at myself and see what I see today. You can look at me and say, girl, you done lost all that weight. And I'm like, girl, you just exaggerated. I ain't lost all that day. I ain't lost weight like you saying I lost weight. But I lost weight. You know, I was weighing 82 and a half damn pounds. You know what I mean? Y'all know I was little as heck, even when I was younger. You know, I'm in like a 3-4 for years. You understand? But just look at a 3-4 and lost, went down to 82 and a half pounds. That thing was vicious. That thing was terrible. You follow? My mindset wasn't even right. I had no control of it. You know what I mean? I couldn't stop. And when I thought about it, didn't want to get high, I called myself fighting myself, not knowing that sickness is me. You know, I know that today. My disease is me. You know what I mean? I invited it in. You know what I'm saying? I just lost everything in myself. You know, and allowed the drug itself, the poison, to create my brain, like I was saying. You know, the chemistry up there is gone. You know what I mean? And all it knows is to do drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? Get high. You know, with pills, it don't know nothing about food no more. It don't know nothing about, you know, doing all the things that I can do that people do normal. It don't know none of that no more. You know, all it knows is to get high. And when you get high, you die. You know, but when you getting high and you die, you don't feel none of it. You know what I'm saying? And you feel normal, just like everybody else. You just can't see. Eyes ain't working. You can't smell yourself stinking. Nose ain't working. You know what I mean? You don't see, you don't feel. It's crazy, but it's true. Y'all see some of our brothers and sisters is out there walking in them streets. You see what they look like. You know what I mean? You know some of the people that's out there that been Mickey. Remember that thing? You get Mickey? You know, a lot of them that lost their mind. Can't even come back no more. This thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. You follow what I'm saying? Cunning, baffling, and powerful. And we look at some of them, because I was one of them too, like, that's a damn shame. She lunching now. He messed up. You know what I mean? That don't make no sense. Man, I would never let that happen to me. Hey, we learned in this program, never say never. And I understand why. Because I said it would never happen to me either. I'm a true believer of that. I'm a very true believer of that. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing when you come back. You know what I mean? And you find this process, you know what I mean? And commit to this process, the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholic Anonymous, because it was the only guideline that can help me. Hell, God couldn't help me because I ain't believe in him. You understand what I'm saying? At that particular time, I ain't trust God. He ain't never helped me. That's what I used to say. You follow? And all along, I know today, to God be the glory, that he's an awesome God. He took care of me the whole time. But I'm going to get to that, y'all. I'm going to finish talking about to get through it. You know what I mean? Now you have to admit to yourself there's a problem and you have no control like you thought you did. And your life is totally now unmanageable. Okay? You know, to go through. You know, you did all that thinking you had control and everything was this and everything was that. Now you got to get through it because your life has become unmanageable. You follow me? You know, you are not you now trapped inside with this thing called disease, as I was sharing with you guys. You know, and you can't do nothing. That's the crazy part. You can't do nothing. Now you like a yo-yo. You know what I mean? You're a puppet now. There's nothing that you can do because the voice has become louder than you. See, that subconscious mind becomes a voice. You know what I mean? So all of you that's getting high, y'all know what I'm talking about. The voice is the voice. You know what I'm saying? And the voice overpowers your voice even when you trying to holler at, I ain't doing this shit no more. The voice like, shut up. Okay. Watch the power that I am. And before you know it, you're back out. Before you know it, you've relapsed. You know, before you know how strong and cunning and baffling and power that the voice is, you're still weak. You're nothing. You're just a puppet. You know what I mean? Trying to talk back to the one. You know how on Neo he had to become the one. You know what I mean? You couldn't say nothing to the one. You follow what I'm saying? But that's what you do. Sit down, shut up, because this is what I want, and you're gonna get your butt up and you're gonna go do whatever it is. That's what the pain be telling you. You know what I mean? It's such a crazy cycle. It's such a crazy feeling through all of this. You know what I'm saying? You know, then we get to, some of us get to shaking, some of us get to doing all kinds of crazy stuff. We can't stay still. Here comes mental health. You follow what I'm saying? Come on in, cousin. Come on in. You know, we're going to tear this one down. We're going to get this one. You don't even remember things. You don't remember things. You don't even take a knowledge of what you're getting ready to do. You know what I mean? You just be doing it. You know what I mean? The mental health, hey lady, the mental health come in, hey Jack, you know what I'm saying? And you don't even know you're dealing with mental health problems. You follow what I'm saying? Because see, that unbalanced brain in yours, that chemically imbalanced brain that you have is tearing up. It's tearing up from the flow up. I'm telling you, you don't even know it's happening. You don't even know what's happening. Now people saying she lunching. You know, I'm speaking of myself, and people say that about me too. You know what I mean? When I was out there, but I'm just using it as a phenomenon. You know, that's what you say. You know, she lunching. Look at her. She crazy. She ain't even got her senses no more. That's a shame. You know what I mean? What we need to be doing is praying for them. That's what we need to be doing. We need to be praying for them and watching this type of thing. Not just me, all the people that are on here trying to explain this vicious disease, because it is big. It is one thing that they keep in our cities and our little homes all around our areas, you know what I mean? And keep us down. Keep us drilled down. They remove everything from our environment. There's nothing else to do but dope, shooting, and killing. That's what's going on now. Wake up, everybody, please. And see what I'm saying is the truth. It's the truth. It's just too many of us. We went to too many funerals. I can't even go to funerals today. There's so many. When my son was killed, when my mother died, when my sister died, when my aunt died, when my godson died, all in a row. All in a row. But for the grace of God, I did not allow my disease to unbalance me with all of that. I had to take that pain. It was trying to come through my armor. You hear what I'm saying? But I prayed. Because I'm a prayer today. I pray. You know what I mean? I have a conscious contact with my God that nobody can get in between. You follow what I'm saying? Nobody. Except me and him. You follow? Because he listens. He gives me the right message. You know? And he knows that I'm trying. He knows that I am trying to walk the way that he chose for me to walk. That felt good to say that. Put my glasses back on so nobody can say, Trey, put your glasses on. You know? Y'all, you know, I write little notes down because you know, sometimes I'll come on raw, you know, and I'll forget what I was going to say sometimes, you know what I mean? But I'll make a show of it, no matter what I pop up with. But I like to keep things in order because right now I'm lit. I'm lit. You know, my new high is getting high with this. You know, this thing get me tore from the floor up. You know, and today I ain't doing no changing. Hey, my beautiful sister, I ain't doing no changing today, not for the negative. I love this piece so much. I love this piece, y'all. This piece is beautiful. You hear what I'm saying? I can't even put an outfit that's more beautiful than my piece. You know what I mean? Y'all know like how I used to like put that shit on. You know what I'm saying? I can't even do my... We're going to get on the hair yet because I'm struggling with these little freaking sister locks. You know what I mean? But because I'm used to having my hair look so good, you know, and everybody say, your hair look good, Tracy, you look nice in it. You know, I think it's my sickness is trying to make me say, you know, it just don't look good. You know what I mean? But anything look better than what I used to look like and what I went through. You know what I mean? What I had to go through. Anything looks better than that today. You follow what I'm saying? So I'll be praying on that too. God, just help me see what everybody else see, you know, with this. You know what I mean? I know I don't look crazy, but I don't feel like me. But what I've learned in this process is change is constant, and it's nothing constant but change. Hear me out, Tracy. Go ahead, girl. You answering your own self. You know what I'm saying? That's what God do. You know what I mean? Especially when I get to talking and I get to rolling. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to learn a lot of this thing. I told my loctician that by the time I get 70, it probably be right here. You don't know where, you know, you got to go through the process. Well, I hope my process hurry up because it's tearing me up. But I got patience today, and I learned how to have patience in recovery. You know what I mean? So no matter what I do in life or what I go through life, everybody or somebody been through it in this lifestyle that I live. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody, and when I went through these things without what I have today, you know what I mean? I always made the wrong decision. Back then, I probably would have shaved this thing right on off my head, but not today. You know what I mean? I'm going to go through the process. If I can get through recovery, if I can get through my addiction lifestyle and live this lifestyle of recovery, I told y'all I go through everything through my process, through my 12 steps. I go through everything. This is why I'm saying, if you're not even doing drugs or alcohol, you're a shopper. You know what I mean? You're a gambler. You know, you smoke cigarettes. This process will help you. It will help you. You just have to come to believe in it. You just have to come to believe in it. And that's the truth. You have to realize you need help when you get to that point. You know what I mean? Like going crazy, I'd be like, I just started going crazy. I didn't know how to ask for help in my addiction. I didn't know how to ask for help because I was my pride was too great. And that's crazy. Because disease has the control, right? And it'll make you have some pride and you dying. It'll allow pride to shut you down. You know what I'm saying? It allowed pride to get in the way, you know, and you can't even tell the truth, because don't forget we're the liars too. You know what I mean? And we still a liar at this point, even going through. You know what I'm saying? You know, getting through this thing. You follow? We still the liars because we haven't surrendered yet. You know what I mean? So once you start surrendering, you know what I mean? You have to realize that you are a liar. You know what I mean? And the pride becomes powerful, you know, because that's the disease defense shield. That's how I can say that. It's disease defense shield. You know what I mean? I see your hearts loving it. You know what I'm saying? That's what it do. It make you feel like, you know, oh, this person just hating you, a liar. You know, I punch her in her face. I don't want to hear that S-H-I-T. You know what I'm saying? Man, I ain't trying to hear that. It ain't all like what you see. You know, and you're the one that's blind. You're the one that's blind. I'm feeling this right now, y'all. I'm feeling this today. You know, so, you know, there's a problem and you have to control, you know, like, thought you did what was right or said what was right. That person was right, but you wasn't taking it as it was right because you hear it the opposite way. You know, your life is now crazy and unmanageable. That's where it takes you. Crazy and you now, you trapped. You like it's trapped. You trapped inside this head and body of yours that can't function. It only functions one way. You know, it's called suicide. You know what I mean? But it don't allow you to feel it. It don't allow you to know that you're dying. You know what I mean? But it will make you suffer and you'll be able to feel that so it can keep you to go out and finish giving it the chemicals that it exists from. Oh, that was nice. That it exists from. You know what I mean? Because it's like a car or a truck. It can't run with no engine. And if you got the engine, you got to put oil in it. You know, and then you got to put gas in it. So for us, that's what we doing for disease when we become the addicts and we become the alcoholics. Because that's all the power that you're going to get, you know, to keep disease alive. So it's going to make you do what it wants to do because it has to have all that. You know what I mean? You can't allow you to have no parts of it. You just got to feed it. You know, when our cars run out of gas, it's done. It stops. You know, so you got to go gas it up again. That's what disease does to us. You know, and then you have to realize that you need help. You got to realize that you need help. You know, and what we hit a rock bottom, y'all. That you know, matter of fact, in so many ways, we cry out for help. We just don't cry out loud. But we do cry out for help, because there's times where, we go through the process of, feeling so bad. You know what I mean? Feeling so bad. And when we start feeling the emotions from feeling so bad, disease make it painful. It makes it hurt. It makes you like going crazy. You know what I mean? You don't want to feel that, even though you're hurt. You know what I'm saying? I could explain like times I was hurt, and I'm crying so bad, especially after I done messed up and I done something. I'm crying so bad that the only thing that's going to take the pain away is to nuke it. You know what I mean? I know what to take the pain away, and it won't even allow me to feel bad. It won't even allow me to feel like I was hurting no more, because it put me right back in the trance, like putting the oil in the car, and gassing it up, and then you can roll on, you can drive on. You know what I'm saying? You're going to drive until the gas run out again. Till the gas run out again. And you're going to keep repeating and keep repeating, and you're going to keep repeating, and you're going to keep repeating that until the car breaks down. Make sense in what I'm saying? I hope y'all still follow me. You know what I mean? And rolling with what I'm saying, because real right now I'm rolling. You know what I mean? You got to cry out for help. Help is now needed. You got to come to a point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean? The engine is running out. You know what I mean? The engine is breaking down. You realizing you can't do this by yourself. You follow what I'm saying? And you really want to ask for help, but you don't know how to ask for help because you done burnt out with everybody. You follow what I'm saying? At least you think you burnt out with everybody. You done lost everything. Your home ain't your home. Y'all couldn't go to my mom's house no more. That was burnt out for me. You follow what I'm saying? I never thought in a million years my mom would shut the door on me. Never thought in a million years my mother would do something like that to me, but she got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And she told me she had to live and let God. And I never heard that before until I got help. And darn if it ain't part of my recovery. Those words keep me sane. Those words keep me closer to God. Those words keep all the people, places, and things that I don't need or have to have in my life away from me. You know what I mean? Because I know how to turn it over today. I have a higher power greater than myself, and I don't have to deal with anybody, and you ain't got to deal with me, because I learned how to live and let God, and I'm still going to be in my peace. Ain't nobody taking my peace. If my peace falls, it's going to be because Tracy did it. You know what I mean? Not that I allowed somebody to come in and wreck it. I'm not doing it. I ain't doing that at all. Not today. Because like I said, I want to wake up tomorrow, if tomorrow is going to be, and I want to start my day all over on the right feet. I want to start my day, first thing coming out my mouth, to thank you, God, for another day. You have that control of me, and I'm still a learning process. I am still learning things. I am still getting better, you know what I mean, and fighting my sickness, you know what I mean, and fighting this sickness that they done put on me with this lupus. I'm still going through pain every day. I may not look like it, but yes, I am. I'm in pain every day, and some days could be worse than others, you know what I mean, but I turn it over to my higher power, and he helps get me through every day. When I need to lay down, he's going to tell me to sit down. You understand what I'm saying? When I need to do something this way, he's going to tell me how to do it. You understand? He's going to keep me straight and going to keep me focused because I believe in him. And I know that he's greater than any being or anything in this world, including me. You know? And I know he loves me. God knows I know he loves me. You know, you are living in a sinful world. That's what we're doing. We're living in a sinful world, you know, and it ain't getting no better. It ain't getting no better. So I advise everybody to start looking at what's happening with you, you know, and what's going on with you, and know that you need to find a higher power greater than self. A lot of us have gotten there, and we're doing it, and God bless us because we're sharing all of this, you know, with everybody, but it's still a whole lot, y'all, we need to help save. You know what I mean? For them to learn how to save themselves. I can't save nobody. Nobody can save me. But I can do what I'm doing so people can hear this, you know what I mean? And probably try to make a choice that, you know what, if it works for her, it can work for me because she sounds just like me. She doing the same things that I was doing. You know, I can get on there and I can talk some real peace. You know what I'm saying? I can tell them a whole lot of things that I've done, because what works for me may not work for you, and what I've done, you may have done worse. You know what I mean? Or you may have even gotten to what I've done. You know what I'm saying? The main purpose and the thing is to spread the word that disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And it has no friends. It has no special people. Don't let it get you. You follow what I'm saying? Because this thing is vicious. This thing is a fight. It's being in a war of your own. You think Iraq and them is fighting, you know, and in a war, man, when you in a war with yourself inside your body, your head, your mind, your heart, let me tell you something. The bombs is nothing. You know what I mean? It's the pain that got you all messed up. You follow? It's living without God that you don't even believe in. You understand? Or you don't understand to your knowledge. You know what I mean? And you ain't got no armor. When you don't have him, you have no armor. You know what I mean? So something got to give. And in recovery, we say, if you have your choice of a higher power, whatever you choose to have your higher power, well, guess what? I chose God. That's what I chose. And it worked for me. It works for me. And I ain't mad about anybody else if they chose this little think face, if that's what they want to choose. You know what I'm saying? Because it's for whatever works for you. You understand what I'm saying? It's for whatever works for you. You know, my choice was God. You know? So now we living in this sinful world and have to find our way out of it. You know what I'm saying? And when you are now feeling, that you are at your rock bottom, you know what I mean? Where you all alone, like I was saying, nothing is right. You drowned out, you beat down, you know what I mean? You street out, you follow what I'm saying? You just feel like nothing. You feel like you're just dying and you don't exist. So when you start feeling like that, you're feeling like you're getting close to death. There's no doubt about it, because that's what I felt. You know what I mean? Like I said, it was snow way up here, and I just had my little Michael Jacksons and all that little mess on, and I went to that rehab, and them people opened the door for me. But God, I didn't think that then, And I looked up and seen this big black man look like Sammy Davis Jr. You know what I mean? His name was Doc Watson. Because every rehab have a strong, powerful counselor. And Doc Watson was the man at Better House. I went to Better House. That used to be over Crozier. Some of y'all know about that. I went to Better House in my addiction. And it was like a little mansion, with like about a good 24 people. That's it. They were small places then. Today, man, they crunch you up in those rehabs, man, like sardines. You understand what I'm saying? And they throw so much on you today in these rehabs. Most of the people come in with nothing and leave with nothing. You follow? But back then, you was coming in and you was going to do something, because you wasn't going to do nothing. You know what I mean? And you was going to respect. You know what I mean? I don't care whether or not you've been out in the street for 20 damn years. You're going to come in there and you're going to respect this place. You know what I'm saying? Because they did not play. And they gave you tough love, hardcore love, because anybody that's soft couldn't work with me at all. That's even in the real life back then. You know what I mean? If I know I got you and I can get you, you got. It ain't no ifs and buts about it. You know what I mean? I went in there with the same damn attitude. Once I woke up, them jokers woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just getting there 3. They didn't care. You going to get up just like everybody else. I said, I ain't doing nothing. That joker got me up out that bed by the shirt and shit, and was like, "Oh, you gonna do what you gotta do, or you might as well get out." That's what they told me. And then that's when I became, a little bit more humble, because my intentions was to go in out of all this beating, and I'm messed up. You know what I mean? And I'm out of control, and my life is unmanageable. I don't have nowhere to be, nowhere to go. You know what I mean? I'm staying in all these what they call the day trap houses, stinky, funky, messed up, you know what I mean, dangerous, the whole 9 yards, and I had to think about that. You know what I mean? I had to make sense of that. I made sense of that. You know what I mean? And I ended up getting up because, the newcomer to come in, you got to do all the scrubbing the floors. They gave me a bucket and a mop and told me this is what you're going to do. The place was like a big house. You know what I'm saying? And I did it. You know, I did it. I ain't had no choice to do it. I was going right back out in the street. And I had nowhere to go. That snow was vicious. And he wasn't even supposed to let me in the door. But he did. But God again, you know, but he did, you know. And my name was on the list because, you know, we used to go to the detox anytime we wanted to. And they had to take us. You know what I mean? And Miss Sarah Brown put my name on the list. That's who put my name on the list. And that was like my second mom, you know, growing up. That was Sue Brown's mother, one of my besties, you know, that's passed, you know. And Miss Sarah treated me like I was hers anyway. You know what I mean? And she signed me up for the rehab. And at that point, you know, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? And when I got there, you know, and he said they had to make a decision to keep me. But God, again, to keep me, I was number 8 on that list. Tell me it ain't no God. Tell me God ain't the bomb. Tell me he's not the one. You know what I'm saying? Only but God. And they let me stay. And that decision came from John Reed. He ended up being one of my besties too. John Reed, he was a mentor to me. Doc Watson was a mentor to me. And my cousin LeVert Todd was a mentor to me. And those 3 men helped me to help myself, you know. And I will always and forever be grateful for them, you know. And my sister Cheryl taught me how to pray, you know, as I called her and I let her know that I was in a rehab. And she was the only one who knew. You know, I'm quite sure she told my mom and them, you know what I mean? But I told her I was crying, you know, and I wasn't a crier. I don't cry. You know what I mean? And I was crying, and I was telling her where I was, and she was happy for me to be in the rehab. And I just told her, I don't believe in, you know, God, because he don't answer my prayers. And she told me what I had to do, you know, to have patience, because he's already taken care of you. Basically, that's why I was there, you know. And from that day, I just started listening, you know. And before I can hear, I went through a lot of things, because, see, I got to get through. So I've got to get through a lot of things before I actually can hear, you know what I mean? But I was starting to listen, you know what I mean? And when you are now, you feel, you know, you at the rock bottom and there's nowhere or nobody you can go to, now it's time to cry out real loud. And that's when I started crying out real loud, when I had to go through the process of the rehab, and I had to do what these people was telling me to do, and couldn't nobody tell me to do nothing, you know. But in there, it was just a part of me that was trying to fight, and there was another part of me that still wanted to get high, and then there was a part of me that wanted to learn, that wanted to listen, you know what I mean? So I'm battling that. You know what I mean? That's a battle for us too, y'all. We just don't go into rehab, so we don't go to church, you know, or wherever you go for your peace. You know, we don't go in and able to just take it. You know what I mean? Disease gonna fight you too. You know, when you start fighting disease back, disease is gonna try to keep his crown. You know what I mean? It's gonna try to keep its strength. It's gonna try to keep you weak. It's gonna try to kill you like it's supposed to do. Because that's what doing drugs do. It kills. It poisons. It tears you all apart. You follow what I'm saying? Out of nowhere, out of no control. There's no control with it. So when it start getting weak, you know what I mean? It's going to fight you back. It's going to keep on making you feel these things. It's going to have you hallucinate. Here come mental health. You know, here comes psych. You know, it's going to have you hallucinate. It's going to have you thinking all type of things. I remember I was thinking things was crawling on me. You know what I'm saying? Today you'll see how people pick their skin, you know, and all that kind of stuff. The thing is crazy. It is crazy. And gosh, I can't talk about today's drug, because it's nothing like the drugs that I was taking. You know what I mean? But none of it is good. I hear people say, man, our drugs was, it were covering people. Our drugs was good back in the day. What goddamn drug is good? And I ain't say God, y'all. Believe me, I ain't say God. I didn't even mean to say the goddamn, you know, because I'm working on that. Y'all see, I don't be cursing, you know, on here. But when I get mad and I talk about sickness, sometimes I can't help myself. You know what I mean? It just get crazy for you. So I'm asking God, forgive me for that. But I didn't say God, you know, because I love God too much. It's like a phenomenon on the street side. We say, goddamn. You know what I mean? But people will say, mothers will say, don't you use God's name in vain, and you ain't even saying God. You know what I'm saying? Like all the little sayings they got right now, but it's just a point, you know. But that's what it do. You know what I mean? You start getting crazy because you can try so hard to get better, and disease going to try so hard to keep you sick that it takes the brain that's already chemically unbalanced and it's shaking it all over the place. And your head is now in a circle. You know what I mean? It's like the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other, and one is pulling you this way and one is pulling you that way, and then you're getting all crazy and frustrated because of the pain of it, you know, and all the confusion of it, you know what I mean, and the weakness that comes through it. It's like you just can't get it. You know what I mean? You got to really start powering, because you know what's missing? A higher power. That's what's missing. You have to come to believe in this process. You have to come to believe in them 12 steps that they gave me, but they ain't even introduced 12 steps to me yet. You know what I mean? They just getting me to, you know, process and, you know, get complacent to where I'm at right now. Then you got to follow these rules. You got to listen to these people. You got to sit in a circle and everybody circle around you. You got to sit like this and you can't say nothing. You better not even do like this or take your hands from under your legs, because it's my turn. And everybody in there that's been in that rehab gets a chance to tell me about me. Tell me about me. Tracy Allen now. You know what I mean? And I'm ready to punch people in the face, but you better not act like you are. You better not move them hands, because this is your test when it comes to the rehab. And if you do, you are automatically out of there. So it took a lot. Levert helped me through that too. I want y'all to know that. You know, he prepared me for this. It took a lot to sit there like this when I'm thinking that I'm doing good. You know what I mean? And these people throwing all this stuff in my face. But I made it through the circle. You know what I did? I prayed. And Levert prayed with me. You know what I'm saying? And he built my confidence up. You know what I mean? So I came to believe what he was saying. You know what I mean? And he said, you got to find God, Tracy. You got to have God in your life. You know, and I was still like, well, he ain't never worked for me. He said, well, give him a chance. And I promise y'all, this is no exaggeration. When I got out of that circle, that was my chance that I gave God. You know, I turned my back around to him instead of keeping my back against him. You follow what I'm saying? And I just said, I'm just going to just try, you know, and do it, you know. And as I prayed, things started happening, you know. Things really started happening. And then I was getting this feeling that was just like, whoa, you know what I mean? You know, maybe it is a God. So when you say maybe, now you know you're getting stronger. So maybe is a strong word in our lifestyle. Maybe I should. Maybe I will. You know, maybe I'll try. You know what I'm saying? That's a powerful word when you weak and you down and you tore apart. You know what I'm saying? So when I start doing that, the next day we went to my first AA meeting, you know, and I saw one of my friends that I hadn't seen in years. I thought she was dead, you know, and I'm making a long story short. And when I followed her to the bathroom and she turned around and said, hey, Tracy Allen, believe me, I knew there was a God. This girl looked beautiful. She looked happy. She looked phenomenal. You follow? You know what she said, me? Yeah, it's me. I followed the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you need a sponsor, I will be your sponsor. And that's what we became. Sponsor and sponsoree, you know. And she helped me with the process as well. And I kept going to meetings, and I kept going to meetings, and I kept going to meetings, and I started learning. I started to learn how to listen. I was hearing what was being said. I was seeing phenomenal people that I seen on the street that I was calling junkies, and they've been in the program for 10 years, 15 years, 8 years. People I'm thinking that's dead. You know what I mean? And all these people in here sharing like it ain't nothing, accepting things they can't change. They was changing things they can. You know what I mean? Just talking with all this wisdom anymore. You know what I mean? Then we had a prayer because I ain't have a prayer. And I learned the serenity prayer. And for years, I didn't even pay the serenity prayer no mind on what it meant. I just said it because that's what we did in the rooms. You know what I mean? It took me like a good 7 years to actually realize what the serenity prayer actually meant. You know, because I never really read the serenity prayer. I just said the serenity prayer, so I memorized the serenity prayer. And that wasn't nothing but disease trying to keep me distracted. That's all it was. I tell you, it's an evil thing. It was just trying to keep me distracted. And when I went to my first NA meeting, I saw almost everybody. So I just started believing that this thing works. You know, and I just started praying. Oh, that's all they were saying they do. They pray, you know what I mean? They make the meetings. They said meeting makers make it. You know, and I just started doing what everybody else was doing and found out that I was enjoying it. And the whole time I'm getting better. The whole time I'm getting better. And you got to tell you all, the day that I went into rehab was Mother's Day. It was 12 o'clock. It was after 12 o'clock at night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, and it became Mother's Day. So every Mother's Day of the year is my anniversary. You know, and you know, for something or for someone to help, you know, direct you and guide you, you do what we call, like I said, I surrendered. You know what I mean? I had to surrender. I had to learn all these things, and all these beautiful people in here helped me with these things. And then I just started crying out loud, y'all. I started crying out real loud. I really wanted to help. You know what I'm saying? I was really starting to feel good about me, a way that I forgot what it felt like. You know what I mean? I just kept crying out loud and kept crying out loud and kept crying out loud until I started getting it. You know what I mean? Then I added God in my life. You know what I mean? And they told me put him first. You know what I mean? And keep praying. You know what I'm saying? Work on those steps. That's where I was introduced to the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. I used to go to Alcoholics Anonymous to listen, because you weren't allowed to talk about Narcotics Anonymous. I talked about my stories and my situations in Narcotics Anonymous. So they both worked good for me. You know what I'm saying? Both of them had the juice. Both of them had the energy. It was really the same thing, because when I listened to the stories of AA, they were no different than the stories of NA. You know, so drugs is alcohol. Alcohol is drugs. You follow what I'm saying? And some people, you know, disease will have them in their head like, that's not drugs. Well, the disease is the same. You know what I mean? It's poison. You drink enough of it, you're going to die. You know what I mean? So for me, I look at it all the same. You follow what I'm saying? Because it all has a purpose, a meaning to kill. That's what it does when you do too much of it. You know what I mean? And you drink a lot, and then your brain becomes chemically unbalanced. No different than us that do dope. Smoke coke, pop pills, whatever. It all does the same damage when it comes to the sickness of disease. You know? So some of us forgot, you know, to turn our backs. You know, when I turned my backs on God, you know what I mean? And not realizing that he was in my life all the time. I just didn't open up to him. You know what I mean? I just had so many encounters in my life, starting from a kid, that I didn't feel him. You know what I mean? Today I'm filled up with them. You know what I mean? I'm overflowed. You follow what I'm saying? I thank God. I can look back at my disease, y'all, at my sickness, and today I can honestly thank it. I can honestly say, you know what? If I didn't go through this, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today. You follow what I'm saying? So what you did, what I did is what I did. None of it was good. None of it was right. But it built me. You follow what I'm saying? It built this me today. You know what I mean? When I thought I loved myself before, let me tell you something. That love is weak. Today, love is powerful. Love is great. It is such a phenomenal feeling. It's the greatest. grace of God. You follow what I'm saying? And you just keep getting it. You just keep growing with it. You just keep doing what you're doing. You just keep believing. You know what I'm saying? I keep giving back. You know what I mean? I promised him that if I got clean this time, that I would always give it back. And I've been a drug and alcohol counselor for 38 years. You know what I mean? Maybe a little longer than that, but I don't care about the time. I just know that was my choice. It became my career, and that's what I still do today, even after retiring. I'm back. You follow what I'm saying? And now I'm on Facebook, you know what I mean, live, talking to thousands of people that I don't even have to see or I don't have to know, because I feel you from the power of our recovery. I feel you from the power of our sickness. You know, I feel you through the beating. I feel you through the pain. I feel you through the recovery. I feel you through, you know, the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. You know what I mean? And I'm going to keep sharing. Today, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep sharing, and I'm going to keep sharing, I'm going to keep sharing. And once you get it, you're going to do the same thing, because you're going to feel it. You're going to want to. You know, you're going to always want to. We have recovering people that recover, and they recover enough. Maybe get to step 3 or 7, and then they think that they ain't got to do the rest. You know, and everything is wrong. No! Disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. You got to work on each step. And when you start getting sponsors, you know, because sponsors are definitely needed. You know what I mean? But it's your choice. Sponsors are definitely needed. I want to say something to you guys. Y'all know I keep it real and I keep it authentic, you know, because I do this for you and I do it for me. I not only have sponsors in the program, I had sponsors in my life that was there all along trying to help me to help myself. So I look at them as sponsors too. You follow what I'm saying? Like, I could pick up the phone and I could talk to my sister, Hud. I could pick up the phone and I could talk to my sister, Dion. I could pick up the phone and I could talk to my girlfriend, Marta. You know what I mean? I could talk to my homie, Angie, my girlfriend, Angie. My friends are like sponsors. They're there for me when I need to speak. They're there for me when I'm going through something. You know what I mean? And all of them give me their opinions. They can tell when I'm going through something. You understand what I'm saying? And they allow me to open up and not stay closed in. You follow? You know? And I still have my 5 sponsors from the program. You follow? So I'm surrounded. I'm surrounded with nothing but God. You don't understand what I'm saying? I'm surrounded with nothing but positive people, you know, that keeps my life, help keep my life going. I'm around my children. I'm able to deal with all kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? But I got all them. And I look at them as sponsors. And that's for me. And I'm telling you. You know what I mean? It's the choice, you know, if you want to do as well. My mother was my biggest sponsor. You follow? You know? Because, see, you got to build your way. You got to build your way up with the help of all of this. You know, you got to choose and pick your people, places, and things. You got to come to believe and trust people. You gonna know, because as an addict, we can smell them. We could smell a punk. We could smell a weak person. We could smell an enabler. We could smell anything. You know what I mean? But in recovery, it's the same way. But you just do it wisely. You do it on a free brain. You know, you do it on a brain that has more of God in it than the devil. You know what I mean? You're able to speak. You're able to respect. You're able to accept. You understand what I mean? You're able to hold self accountable. You're able to surrender. You're able to, you know, do all the things that you wasn't doing. You know what I mean? And it just builds up and builds up. That's your armor, y'all. All of what I just said is your armor. You know what I mean? That protects you from sickness and disease and making the wrong choices, irrational choices, making the worst and wrong mistakes like we used to. We strive to be positive now. We strive to be alive now. We strive to be faithful now. We strive to be in God's world now. You know what I mean? We can't have poisonous surroundings around our peace. You know what I mean? So you have to know how to choose your people, places, and things, because disease is that powerful that it comes through people, places, and things. And all this we learn going through the process. You know what I mean? Getting through the process. You follow what I'm saying? We learn all these things. Look, the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous give us tools and weapons that, look, disease can't touch. Disease can't almost beat it. You know what I mean? You just have to believe in it, and you have to show disease that this is what it's going to be. Because this is how you're going to get your sanity back. This is how you're going to get your strength back. This is how you're going to get your life back. You understand? And this is how you're going to have people coming around you, loving you again, forgiving you. You know, you also going to have people that stays with disease that comes through people, places, and things that won't forgive you, that'll never want to forgive you, that'll never let it die. You know what I mean? Never deal with you no more. You know what I mean? But that's okay today, because when you forgive you and you surrender to the high power, it don't bother you. You pray for them. You pray for them, because one thing I'm going to tell you about people in places doing things, they ain't never going to let your story die. They ain't going to never let what you used to do go away. You know what I mean? And these are just the people that come through disease, as far as I'm concerned. And it's okay today, because, see, my God showed me how to be me. It showed me how to love me. It gave me the feeling of love that those things don't even faze me. He gave me so much love that I pray for these people. You understand what I'm saying? And I know how to pick and choose my people, places, and things. You know, it ain't like you can escape it all the way, because it's the world. There's always people, and there's always going to be places, and there's always going to be things to do. You follow what I'm saying? But me, you know, looking after me, you follow what I'm saying, and understanding my war and my fight with me, you know what I mean? How I lost me, and then I found me, and then I love me. Hey, can't touch it. Can't touch it. Long as I got keep on believing in this process. Long as I have to keep on knowing that my God comes before any and everything, including myself. You know? It's crazy. I will suggest that you seek help. You know, seeking help is nothing wrong with it. What time is it? I said I was going to get off this thing early, didn't I? Oh my God, we getting it in. Y'all still there. Thank you. Thank you. Isn't that my God? You know what I mean? But coming through, to come through, y'all, you know, now you can come through to believe, you know, in your higher power, you know, all the things that I just said, you know what I'm saying? You'll find yourself, you'll love yourself. You just got to keep up with the process, come to believe in the process. You know what I mean? You got to do your work. You got to continue doing your work. You got to do all your homework. The work never stops. The steps never stop. You know what I'm saying? You got to always know the 12 steps it got us to live a normal lifestyle. And that's what it promises you if you come to believe in it. You know what I mean? Today, I'm so happy that I can, you know, share all this with you. Y'all, I wrote so much of this down. I'm going to leave half, the other half for another episode. You know what I mean? You know, I'm so glad today, you know, that I've learned how to change my thinking. You know, just because you're sober don't mean that's the whole game. It's not. You know what I mean? You have to learn how to change your thinking, just like all the things that I was just saying to you. You know, some people get stuck because disease is cunning, babbling, and powerful. And they think because they doing this and they doing that and they don't get high no more and they don't do this and now they you know, you got that materialistic bull stuff on. You know what I'm saying? And you're doing this, you know, and you got that, and you think that everything is done. You know, that you don't have to do no more. You know, but disease, when you're thinking it's not changing, you still, you know, thinking the way that you think, then you just stunted your growth. You're just stunting your growth. You're just living on a rocky roll. You follow what I'm saying? You know, because how could you get clean and get better and still do the same things that you used to do? That's a failure. It's a failure, one way or the other. You'll continue lying. You continue to be dramatic. You continue to go through all these things. You'll never see yourself wrong. You can't hold yourself accountable. Because, see, you think you got enough. You know what I mean? Heck no. Heck no. The process is the process and you can't change it. You understand what I'm saying? Just like the Bible is the Bible. The Quran is the Quran. And you can't change it. You got to believe in it, come to believe in it, and follow it. And then you got to know it, and then you got to live it. You know what I mean? Just like we do with the 12 steps. You know what I mean? Of Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholic Anonymous. Because again, just because you stop using, don't make your life unaware that you can't fall again. You know what I mean? You know how some people don't drink no more and they call them dry drunks? Well, that's the same with drug addicts and pill poppers and everybody else, because they can't change. They can't balance themselves out to a new you. You know what I mean? So you still fall back in love with the materialistic things of life. You know what I mean? Not realizing that that can be taken because it's already been taken from you anyway. And don't think you can't lose it all over again, because you can. And God is still trying to get you to do what you have to do, because He gave us the process to learn how to do it. You know what I mean? And how to become faithful to it. You follow what I'm saying? And you still struggling because disease is in your way. You follow? That's nothing but disease. That's nothing but sickness. Know that. You know what I mean? But you think that you got it now, and you don't need certain things, and this person is that person. You know what I mean? Hurt people hurt people. You hear what I'm saying? Hurt people hurt people. Trust me when I tell you that. You're still hurting somewhere along the line. You know what I mean? And you still want this, and you want to do this your way, and you have a way to do it, to get it done, but you want to do it your way. Well, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. You can't go from step 12 and stuck, you know, and not go through the rest of, step 1 and not go through the rest of the steps. That means you changed it. You know what I mean? You can't change the 10 Commandments. Y'all know what I'm saying. You can't change the scriptures in the Bible. You know what I mean? You know, you follow that. You come to believe in that step by step by step by step. And that's the same process for us, you know, with the 12 steps. It's built from a religious program, you know, and it allows you to know that you can't do none of this without a higher power. But disease is a tricky little thing. It's cunning, it's baffling, and it's powerful. You know? So, you know, when you don't get cocky, that's called getting cocky. You know what I mean? Stay right. You know what I mean? Stay green, Don't get too right. You know what I mean? Like, all right, that's all I needed. Everything is over. This is a vicious disease. It's a powerful disease. It's a sneaky disease. You know what I mean? And don't forget that it's you. You know? And it's always going to be with you. You know, so if you want to go through this process, go through the process in order of the way the process is given to you. You know, that's my suggestion to you. You know, so I do want to say, you know, peace and love and serenity and wisdom, you know, comes in your life. You know what I mean? You'll shine. You'll shine just like the sun, y'all. Just as yellow as this shirt, you know, that rays from our God. You know what I mean? That belief, you know, that understanding yourself and, you know, knowing what you've been through, to go through, to get through, you know what I'm saying, is very, very, very important. You know, and I might share it to you this way, and somebody may share it to you another way. You know, but whatever works for you is going to work for you. And whatever you come to believe in will be your choices to come to believe in it. And I know it's getting late. You know what I mean? I got to jump back on them flowers for about another hour and a half, you know. And I appreciate everybody who came on tonight. But what I do want to mention is I seen some stars coming through. I appreciate that so much from you all. You know, if you guys want to just, you know, cash at me a small donation, you know, for me to continue to do what I do. And the LMNT Awards, which is coming up June 27th. And y'all, look, I want y'all to come. You know what I mean? I got a special ticket sale out right now, you know, from now until the end of April. You know what I mean? Tickets are $45. You know, some of y'all getting the income taxes. Look, I'm trying to get them tickets sold, right? You know, I mean, get them now. You know what I'm saying? You know, your seat will be your seat. You know, last year I did sell out, you know, and I still had people coming, but I had nowhere for them to sit. So this year I'm going to try to make it even bigger. You know what I mean? And I put on Facebook, you can see some of what we did last year on a video, Yes God put together for me. You know, The honorees' names will start being put out like at the end of this month, next month, into next month, and I do have 3 special people that I'm going to honor for all their awesomeness. That's what I call it, that they give to people. You know what I mean? And they feed the poor, they feed the homeless, they feed the sick and suffering. You know what I mean? And it's just ongoing and outgoing. And I really think that they need to be recognized more than what they are. You know what I'm saying? And I'll put their names out as well. But for now, y'all, I know I got to get off this live. Thank everybody who hung in here and, got it in with me tonight, because I feel real good. So I probably could stay up for another hour and a half and, do some more of these flowers that I have to make for a wedding that I'm doing, So with that, y'all, I'm going to say the serenity prayer. God grants me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And KK, Barry, if you're on here, I think I saw your name. They told me that the 2X was big, so I'm going to bring that to you, because we're still waiting for the type of t-shirts that we get to come in. And if it doesn't, work, I will definitely bring you a 3X when it arrives. I just want to bring that box to you, and I thank you for purchasing it, Thank everybody for coming on again, and I will see you guys next week. We got a guest coming on next week, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be the bomb. I'm going to put her out tomorrow on Facebook, on her flyer, y'all. So get ready, get the seatbelts and all that, because we're going to have a great time next week. God bless you.